although the show isn't over yet in Galls. But behind the feelings, in today's video, died at the and how she age of 54 from overcame her trauma to pancreatic. Touching happened behind that story and gentle Ike's profound smile. Discover the truth that made Hollywood choke up, and maybe you'll see a little bit of yourself in this story. Talented young woman shines early. Diane Lane was born in 1965 in New York City into an artistic but conflicted family. Her mother, Colleen Farrington, was a famous model, once appeared in Playboy magazine. Her father, Burton Eugene Lane, was an acting coach, an influential stage manager in the art world. However, Diane was just an infant when her parents divorced. From then on, she lived with her father, a calm and devoted man, but she also often struggled to make ends meet. Despite her family's imperfect circumstances, Diane had a special talent for the arts from an early age. At the age of 6, she began acting at the famous La Ma Theatre in New York. Then, the turning point came at the age of 12, when she was chosen to participate in the play The Cherry Orchard with Meryl Streep, who was then a veteran actress. Diane was just a little girl, but her charisma, the depth of her eyes, and her genuine emotions took the stage world by surprise. At the age of 14, Diane landed her first film role in A Little Romance, a charming coming-of-age love story shot in Paris and Venice. She played Lauren King, a smart, charming American girl who falls in love with a French boy. The film was a huge success, and Diane Lane immediately became a national sensation, appearing on the cover of Time magazine with the title Hollywood's New Beauty. But fame at such a young age was not simply a gift. It brought with it bright lights, acclaim, but also the loss of childhood. Diane once said that she had to build herself a very strong, insulating muscle to avoid being swept away by the whirlwind of fame. I learned to separate myself from it. I didn't let the compliments or the attention control me. I just kept on acting. At school, Diane was still a normal girl, always trying to hide her fame. She shared that I just pretended like nothing happened, did not brag, and did not let anyone know about her acting life outside of school hours. Along with the stage lights, Diane also had to face deep family trauma. After her parents divorced, she lived with her father, a poor but responsible person. Her mother, Colleen, had a more dissolute lifestyle, often absent. The relationship between Diane and her mother was not good, but the unexpected happened when she was 15 years old, her mother suddenly kidnapped Diane, took her from Los Angeles to Georgia to gain custody of her child. The story did not end there. Diane had to go to court, sue her own mother, to demand the right to self-determination. Finally, the court allowed her to return to her father in New York, marking a painful but decisive step of maturity. At an age when many young women still do not know what they want, Diane chose her own life, not letting anyone impose on her, not even the person who gave birth to her. Those experiences, combined with the pressure of fame, made Diane mature much earlier than her peers. She was no longer a dreamy teenage girl, but a young woman with an independent, strong mind and deep skepticism about the safety of intimate relationships. That created a strong, decisive, and sometimes rebellious personality, which would directly affect her bold emotional choices later on. She once loved Jon Bon Jovi, a romantic singer and idol of millions of hearts, but that love could not come to an end. Then came her marriage to actor Josh Brolin, full of passion, but also full of contradictions. Diane loves fiercely, but always keeps a part of herself to herself, a trait of the wounded, yet unyielding soul. But can a heart that has been surrounded by the media find peace after such intense emotions? After a brief romance with Jon Bon Jovi, Diane Lane embarks on a different journey, no longer a short-term youthful fling, but a serious commitment. But is marriage the haven she once dreamed of? Her relationship with Josh Brolin, which seemed like a long-term happy one, presents a completely different set of challenges. Rebellious love, Diane Lane and Jon Bon Jovi. In the late 1980s, the American entertainment world exploded in the aura of rock music. cinema, and the flashbulbs of famous magazines. It was the era of stars shining like icons, the era when beauty and talent were not only honored, but also monitored every minute and second. And amid that intense flow, Diane Lane, a young star with classic beauty, intelligence, and inner depth, entered a passionate and rebellious love affair with Jon Bon Jovi, the legendary singer of the rock band of the same name. At the time they met, Diane Lane was only in her 20s, having just gone through an important transition from a child star to an adult actress with profound roles. Meanwhile, Jon Bon Jovi was at the peak of his career with consecutive hits breaking the music charts such as You Give Love a Bad Name, 1986, Livin' on a Prayer, Wanted Dead or Alive, and was becoming an icon of American rock music. They met at a music and cinema event, where artistic souls like them could easily recognize each other in the crowd. And with just one look, they were drawn to each other like two extremes finding balance. Hollywood not only because of their fame, but also because of the attraction of opposites. Diane Lane has a classic French beauty, calm and profound, while Jon Bon Jovi is the embodiment of freedom, extravagance and charm of American rock music. They appeared on magazine covers, held hands at premieres, music events, and even in spontaneous everyday photos, all creating a love story full of Hollywood romance. Diane Lane once described the relationship as passionate and brilliant, but also very fleeting. They fell in love in a world where nothing was private, where every emotion was exaggerated in the press, where public admiration could easily become pressure. Jon Bon Jovi was the woman everyone wanted, and Diane Lane was a woman strong enough not to hold on. Neither of them was the type to live slowly. They loved like there was no tomorrow, but they couldn't hold on to each other in real life. We were both flying too fast. Neither of us was ready to stop, and that's why we lost each other, Diane Lane said in a rare interview in the 2000s. That short-lived relationship left a deep mark, not only on the memories of the two, but also perhaps in their music. Many believe that the songs on the album New Jersey, 1988, one of Bon Jovi's most successful albums, had a hint of love for Diane Lane. In particular, the song I'll Be There For You with the lyrics, I wasn't there when you were happy / and I wasn't there when you were down, makes fans think of a woman that Jon once wanted to keep, but lost. Although never confirmed, Diane Lane has always been an important part of Bon Jovi's backstage rumors. And perhaps, during concert nights, when the stage lights dimmed, Jon still saw her somewhere in his lingering memories. After the breakup, Diane Lane became extremely secretive about her love life. Unlike her colleagues who often appear with new relationships, Lane chooses to stay behind the spotlight, not showing off, not speaking up, not confirming or denying anything. She once said that if a love that is too beautiful is exposed to the light, it will gradually be eaten away by others and lose its sacredness. Perhaps that is why the relationship with Jon Bon Jovi, although it only lasted for a short time, became special, because both of them respectfully let it go into the past. But did those wild years, those instinctive experiences, and those deep wounds cause Diane Lane to falter in her career? Or, on the contrary, were they smoldering fire that nurtured an actress who could be reborn again and again on screen? After her stumbles, how did Diane Lane come back, and why did each of her comebacks leave audiences unable to take their eyes off her? Personal experiences. If you think Diane Lane is a film icon born in the Hollywood spotlight, you have missed a journey of maturity that was instinctive, daring, and not without its vulnerabilities. As a teenager, Diane did not follow the safe path of a young American star. Instead, she had the soul of a free artist, living her young years as if every day could be her last. Unlike her contemporaries, who were surrounded by big contracts and agents who were always by their side 24/7, Diane chose to live in the real world. She traveled throughout the Middle East and Europe with traveling theatre troupes where art had no boundaries and no limits for the body. The plays at that time required sacrifice, both emotionally and physically. Diane often agreed to perform nude not to attract attention, but to fully express the spirit of the character and the play. In the eyes of some, it might seem reckless. But for Lane, it was a commitment to art from her early years. One of the weirdest memories she has ever shared is the time she accidentally ate a brownie laced with marijuana in Amsterdam. Diane was in her early 20s on tour, living with older artists, taking care of her meals, sleep, and safety. The little cake not only made her feel high, but also became a metaphor for a period, beautiful, free, but easily out of control. And of course, the filmmaking environment was not always kind. She once candidly recalled a very special situation on set. A group of executives came to me on the day I took my clothes off. It couldn't be a coincidence. That seemingly light-hearted remark reflects a more serious problem: the exploitation of women's bodies under the guise of art, or content evaluation, is still something that makes many actors like her feel passive, even hurt. There is a quiet but deep psychological layer in Diane, the influence of her mother, a controversial Playboy model at the time. The mother-daughter relationship was not simple. Her mother once took her to Georgia against her father's wishes, leading to a legal and emotional tug-of-war. And although Lane always keeps her mother in check, one of her words still lingers: "My mother's story is not mine." But is it really like that? The line between mother and daughter, between the image of objectified women and the free female artist, is sometimes blurred. Though Lane doesn't admit it outright, her bold artistic choices, her reticence toward the media, and her fiercely protective approach to her personal life may all be a reaction to seeing how her mother was perceived, not as a person, but as a symbol. None of this, her youthful tour, her unwanted experience in Amsterdam, her emotional blows on set, and her complicated memories of her mother, brought Diane Lane down. On the contrary, they forged her into a woman of depth who knew how to step back to observe, feel, and embody. Her vulnerability didn't make her weak. It gave each of her roles a subtle crack, both beautiful and heartbreaking. When she cried on screen, people believed. When she was silent, people understood. Diane Lane didn't take the easy road, but that's what makes her journey from rebellious teenager to accomplished artist such an inspiring story, both authentic and layered with emotion. After rebellious love affairs and challenging experiences in life, Diane Lane not only matured, but also found strength and independence within herself. But were the turning points in love and career the decisive factors in the journey that created the great Diane Lane as she is today? So, what was Lane's journey to maturity, and can she overcome these challenges to continue to shine in the following years? Marriage and career growth. Diane Lane's love life has always been full of twists and turns, especially when she married Josh Brolin in 2004. The couple was one of Hollywood's most famous couples, but the quiet end of their marriage took many by surprise. There was no loud breakup or public details about the reason for the breakup, which clearly shows Lane's privacy and love life. "I don't have to explain to anyone. It's my story, and we just want to keep it quiet," she shared. Diane Lane has never had a clear career or love plan. She believes that the element of surprise in life is what makes it interesting. "That's half the fun, right? The element of surprise," she said, reflecting on part of her way of life. She does not place much emphasis on preparation or control in her relationships or career, but instead lives naturally, letting things happen naturally. Despite the challenges in her marriage, Lane still maintains her self-respect and control. "I know who to stay away from," she asserts. This statement is not only about the relationships she has chosen, but also about how Lane has always protected herself from outside influences. It is this resilience and strength in maintaining her identity that has helped her overcome the ups and downs in both her career and her personal life. From the early years of her career with sweet and romantic roles, Diane Lane gradually asserted herself as a talented actress. But it was not until she entered middle age that Lane truly had roles with depth and strength. Films like Under the Tuscan Sun, Unfaithful, Man of Steel, and most recently Feud and A Man in Full have allowed Lane to explore complex, emotional, and sometimes conflicted characters of middle-aged women who are no longer flat, but are also very attractive and worthy of reflection. What is special about these roles is that for the first time, Lane has not had to play roles that make her feel attached to her youth. She shared, "I feel like I have to play different ages that I have experienced, not stuck at 35. This is not only an acceptance of mature beauty, but also shows Lane's remarkable maturity in the profession when she is not afraid to challenge herself with complex, deep roles." Lane's return is not only a rebirth in her career, but also a strong message about the strength and beauty of women when they grow up. Recent confession. Diane Lane, one of Hollywood's greatest stars, has always been known for her talent and unique acting style. However, few people know that she has never chosen to take advantage of her appearance to advance her career. In a recent interview, Lane frankly shared, "I've been criticized for not knowing how to flirt." This is a confession full of truth and humility, as she expressed that she is not the type of person who uses her appearance to win roles. This self-awareness shows that Lane always chooses roles based on her career and ability, not the flashiness of her appearance. Besides, when mentioning the influence of the past and personal experiences, Lane also does not hesitate to admit that events in her family and love life have affected the way she perceives and interacts with the world. Maybe they're related. These words carry a private feeling that she doesn't want to share, but it's enough for the listener to understand that her family's past is not always a peaceful life, but sometimes it's a harsh challenge. What moved many fans the most was when Lane publicly expressed her gratitude for the generation of audiences who have always been with her throughout her artistic journey. She said, "It's great to have a generation of people who have been with me, and I feel that I have to play the different ages that I have been, not stuck at 35. It was a deep thank you from the heart of an artist and a testament to the respect she has for those who have supported her throughout her career." The question